Hey y'all. Hey y'all. So tonight we are talking about a divorce that I wasn't really going to get into. Um and I really didn't think it would get this messy, but it has. So I decided to come on and talk about it because, when Kandi and Todd announced their separation, it was giving we love each other, we're still friends, it's peaceful. But baby, court documents are saying something very different. Welcome in, welcome in. Hey Al, I know you was in here half an hour before I started, but hey Al, hey Roxy, what's going on? Happy Monday, happy Monday. So yeah, so according to what I've been seeing, on social media, of course, this divorce is getting messy, and we're just gonna talk about it tonight. So we're talking about Todd asking for primary custody. Oh, I hate when my nail chips. When my nails are so hard to grow, and then it finally gets to growing, and as soon as it hits something, it starts breaking. Uh, but anyway, so yeah, so Todd's seeking primary custody. Kandi says he's living rent free. The prenup getting questioned, and of course the guest house situation. And I'm just gonna say it. Mama Joyce somewhere right now sipping tea like I try to tell y'all. Hey bro, Smooth. Oh please, Smooth, you always you always on women. Hey sis Lily. You crazy. Can't trust women. Children need a father more. I think they need both parents, not one or the other. They need both parents. Come on now. Hey, Nook. How are you, bro? Smooth said, yeah, I don't want the truth. Oh, come on. Come on. But thank you for being here, everybody. Please hit the like button, subscribe. Yeah. What did she say? Oh, Mama Joyce, Al? Mama Joyce said, watch out now. Watch out for that boy. Watch out for that man. He gonna try to steal all your money. Hey, Tamik, sis. How are you? How are you, sis? How are both my sisters in the chat? So I see whose side Smooth is on. Thank you all for coming in. So yeah, we're talking about Kandi and Todd, Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker. Their divorce, how it's getting messy. And like I said, Mama Joyce somewhere saying, I try to tell y'all. Now everything we're discussing is based on reported information and court filings, and everything's allegedly, but let's just get into it. Now, let's not pretend this came out of nowhere. If you watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta, you saw tension from day uno, from day one. Mama Joyce never trusted Todd, not for one episode, not for one season. She did not hide it at all. She accused him of wanting Kandi's money, being an opportunist, using her daughter for lifestyle access. There were literal screaming matches on TV. And, most of us watched it because that was in the beginning. I know over time some of us stopped watching. Like, I know when it first came out, I definitely watched, but just like Love and Hip Hop, after a while, it was just the same old, just different people. But yeah, but their storyline basically stood the same. But Mama Joyce from the beginning, she knew Todd was shady. At one point, Mama Joyce even accused Todd's mother of shady behavior, and that situation got so ugly that it almost ruined the wedding. Thanks, Tamik. Thanks, Tamik. And enjoy your dinner. I saw you was having turkey burgers. That's what's up. She trash and the truth will come out. All right. I don't. I'm. I'm gonna say okay. We'll see. We'll see. But when it comes down to it, she was, the bread maker. You know, and at the end of the day, she's the one working, bringing in the money and things like that. So you can't, get mad at her for that. That's for sure. At least she's making the money. And they were very comfortable in life. Shrimp ceviche. That sounds good. How was he shady? Y'all blame ninjas faster than the court system. I Yeah, somebody definitely hurt him, Lily. Somebody definitely hurt him. It's okay. It's okay. We love it. We love it. Yup. But if you watched it, from what you see alone, I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes it's not hard to hide who you are, and it's different. Just because somebody or a woman might be, stern in her ways or want things a particular way, doesn't mean she's bad, you know? It doesn't mean she's bad. Now, if a man is trying to take you for your money and live comfortably with your money, then that says something about the man. So when you look at today's custody and financial battle, you just have to ask, was Mama Joyce just dramatic? Or was she seeing something early that people just try to ignore? Now, I'm not saying Todd married Kandi for money, but I am saying when people are, financially imbalanced, one has more than the other, that does change dynamics, A lot of people want to say it doesn't, but it sure does. And especially when the woman is the one making more money. You could say what you want to say, feel how you want to feel, but when one person is making more than the other, it does change dynamics, especially when it's the female. Smooth, you could stay. It's okay. Bro, now come on now. I want to hear this. You're making it interesting. I want to hear your opinion. Gotti crew, what the effing? Let me know. But welcome in, welcome in. Let me know what the effing. And remember, everybody's opinion is welcome. It's all good. Not everybody's going to feel the same. It's all good. And I really don't have one feeling or another. I'm just reporting what I'm reporting, you know? But yeah, so financial imbalance just does change dynamics, you know? Um, when the woman is making more money, sometimes, it, what is the word? Demasculates the man. Is that the word? Emasculate? Anyway, you know what I mean. So sometimes, men feel a certain way if your woman is making more money than you, you know? And Kandi has always been the breadwinner, you know? Those of you that know this story, do y'all think Mama Joyce was wrong back then? Or do you think she clocked something, right away from the beginning? What y'all think? Do y'all think Mama Joyce was wrong? Or did she clock something? So as y'all know, Kandi was already wealthy. A Grammy winner, escape royalties, songwriting credits, businesses, real estate, you know? She dipped her feet in a lot of different things to make sure that money was coming in, you know? And Todd, he was working behind the scenes in production when they met. Nothing wrong with that, but let's be real, their financial power was not equal, you know? She had many different ventures. He did him not so much, you know? Mama Joyce just controlling, but she yeah, Mama Joyce is controlling. She is, but she's just watching out, you know? She's watching out for her child. That's only right, you know? But she did clock something. And Nook says she wasn't feeling him. Yeah, Mama Joyce wasn't feeling him. She felt something, you know? But they did last, pretty long considering, you know? But of course we knew as soon as we heard that there was separation and divorce. I know the first thing people thought was about money. Like, oh boy, this is gonna get messy, you know? But then you see them for the holidays and for the birthday, and you think, oh, maybe they are gonna just, be friends and be cordial and things like that. A couple months later, boy, are we wrong. you know? So now fast forward to the divorce. Kandi alleges Todd is living in the guest house on her property and not contributing nothing financially. So that's a big allegation. And if it's true, that creates a narrative of she's carrying everything. She's paying for everything. He's not dishing out nothing and still living on her property. If they are, separated and are really heading for divorce, why is he still on the property? Why hasn't he got his own, apartment or house, whatever? Why is he still living on the property? And why is he not contributing to anything? If it's true, because everything said here is allegedly, you know? So he's basically benefiting from her, from still being there, you know? Yep. So Todd says the situation isn't being portrayed fairly and that there were shared agreements. But here's where it gets interesting. When someone challenges the prenup, that suggests, dissatisfaction. All of a sudden, of course, when divorce comes into the picture, all of a sudden, the prenup is not good enough. But yet, two people had to sign it. But all of a sudden now the prenup is being questioned, you know? Because if the prenup was solid and fair, why fight it? Now we're not saying he's after the money. We're saying that the court is now involved in determining who gets what. When don't people draw up prenups for a reason? So when it does head for divorce, there's no questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. You already basically know who's getting what, you know? So now to bring this to the court, to make it messy, and come on now, there's children involved. And no matter what you think these kids are not paying attention, they're definitely paying attention. If mom or dad is on the phone around them, they're listening. And when money meets the ego, things are escalating. And they're going to continue to escalate. Exactly. That means he needs to go. Heck yeah. You're not contributing and you're still living on my property. Shit. You need to go. Like, come on now. Yeah, and that's what I said. They were good a few weeks ago. They were good for Christmas. They were good for the birthday. They was good. What happened? What happened is, allegedly, he's broke. And he sees, she's still doing good regardless. She's still touring and doing her thing. She's still touring and doing her thing. So, of course, and, he's lived a certain way throughout the years. So he's probably scared that he's going to have to live a whole different way. But that is not her fault. He should have been doing his own thing also while they were together. He should have had his own separate business ventures, while she's on tour and while she's traveling and all this. What was he doing? Doesn't that question what was he doing? But so they're divorcing. Imagine you're divorcing. Your ex is living in your guest house on your property and allegedly not paying any rent. The internet is running with that, because visually and just anyway, that just sounds wild, that separated, heading for divorce, and you're still living on my property? Oh, hell no. You got to go. I don't want to freaking come out my house, see you. I don't want you to have to come to the house. No, just no. Especially if we're arguing about my money. Like, if you're trying to, fight the prenup, it's definitely not okay. I know things have to be tense already. No, you got to go. Now Todd says he didn't voluntarily move there, that he was removed from the main house. So imagine, he wanted to even stay in the main house. So he's not staying in the guest house because he wanted to or he chose to, supposedly, but that he was removed from the main house. So that means actually he was trying to even stay in the main house with them. That's even more wild to me. That adds another layer if that's true. Because now it's not he's freeloading, it's becoming he was displaced. Like, come on now. Like, even if, you're allowed a certain amount of time, doesn't that just make things uncomfortable anyway if you're in the same household or even the proximity of the main household? Doesn't that make everything feel weird because you're broken up, things like that? Why would you still want to be? Like when my son's father and I broke up, we lived together. And when we broke up, he literally moved that day we broke up. Like, there was no time given. Like, I'm not gonna be living with somebody I feel a certain way with and me be uncomfortable in my living situation. Nope. And I don't got no money. So imagine if I did. Shit. Nope. It was all for show. Lord, people know they can be manipulated and good characters in front of the camera. Todd broke. He leaning back on her still. Yeah. Hoping that he could, do the same thing he did throughout the years, try to get her to take him back and, rekindle whatever they had. And she's probably like, nope, that's it. It's over. You know? Yeah, Todd would have to. Yeah, Todd will have to get a job and help out or get the heck out. That's right. Shit. Like, you crazy. Yeah, because maybe I'll have a little leniency because we have, children together. But other than that, no, you gotta go. You gotta go. That's just uncomfortable. And I know, like, when they living the way they living, she probably don't even see him often because when you have a freaking mansion and a guest house and all that, you rarely see the other person, I'm sure. But still, just to know that they're there, that's annoying in itself. I'd be annoyed as fuck. I'd be like, just knowing that he's over there breathing. I'll be like, no. And then not contributing, that's what makes it worse. Like, dude, you gotta go. Find something to do. And I don't know how after all these years, he don't have his own. How is that possible? Like, what was he doing? Is just crazy. But either way, it's very awkward. Awkward to be in the main house, awkward to be in the guest house, just awkward to be on the property. And the judge is going to care about who's maintaining stability, who's financially contributing, who's creating disruption. The optics matter. And then for him to be trying to gain custody, primary custody. So he wants to gain primary custody because he's saying that she travels too much. So in other words, he's going to try to get primary custody and then he's probably going to try to get child support out of that and maybe some kind of spousal support, even though there was a prenup. So he's probably fighting all this in court right now, making things worse and making himself look stupid. Yeah, I'm not living in the same place with a mofo I'm no longer vibing with. No turkey, no ham, right? Hell no. That's just awkward as. But like we said, they were, or it seemed like they were getting along. But, you know, money, like they say, money changes everything. Todd trying to hustle the system. Yep. He's trying to hustle the darn system. So then the custody, that this is when it gets even more spicy. Todd requesting primary physical custody. That's not just a little move or a soft move. That's strategic. Why? Because the child support calculations, he's already thinking in his mind, if he gets the children, he's going to be getting child support. He's already thinking this. And I'm sure that's how I'm pretty sure the judge is going to see through him. Like, come on now. You don't have your own income, not not even half of what Kandi makes. And you're going to try to get primary custody just because she works? Isn't that what a parent's supposed to do? You know? So the child support, the property leverage shifts, then the new negotiation power increases if he gets custody of the kids, And let's be honest, do we think Todd really believes he should have primary custody? Or is this he's just trying to position himself a certain way? And of course, he's trying to bother Kandi. He wants to hurt Kandi because he's hurt. Definitely broke ninja behavior, So now the tricky part is that Kandi travels, she works, she has Broadway runs, she has business ventures, but courts do consider availability. So Todd positioning himself as parent that could afford the child care. She could afford, if she needs to take her children with her and have them, be like homeschooled on the road. No matter what, Kandi will make it happen. So it just depends on how the judge sees things, So it might carry some weight that he's actually present and able to watch the kid whenever, but what you guys think? Do you guys think that because he basically has open availability that he carries weight when it comes to the when it comes to the child custody? Hey, Paula. Todd is trying to position himself to get a continuous flow of money. Yep, that's exactly what I said. He's trying to get in that bag like he's been trying to get into all these years. He just wants that money. So he figures the easiest way to get it is through the children, because she makes a pretty decent amount of money, I'm sure. He's trying to live comfortably without lifting a finger. Sad, you know? No, he's not. He's not worthy of full custody. No. Todd wants Kandi to continue to take care of him. Yep. Yep. He just wants somebody to take care of him. He wants Kandi to take care of him for now until he meets the next sucker. Until he meets a sucker. Because I'm not going to say the next sucker, but she did deal with him for a long time. But, I guess there was some kind of love there. So, of course, you have to deal with some things before you wake the fuck up. But he's definitely trying to position himself to win in his own way, what he thinks is winning, But do you think that the that asking for primary custody is a power move, or is he a genuine parent, like genuine parenting belief? Do you think that he really thinks that he's the best parent, or he's just trying to make a power move? Right? Exactly, Paula. She said, if I was the judge, I would want to know why this grown man isn't working. That's exactly what the hell I said. Hey, heck. Hola. How are you? Yes, definitely a power move. Hey, Miss Dee Dee, sis. How are you? Welcome in. Welcome in. We're talking about Kandi and Todd and their divorce, the custody. I don't know if you want to say battle, but he's seeking primary custody now. And it's just a mess, guys. It's just a mess. If you haven't done so, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe if you haven't. I greatly appreciate you, and thank you for being here, everybody. So yeah, because that move alone, asking for primary custody alone, it tells us that this divorce is not just paperwork, it's tragedy. It's like he's trying to come up, at least he's trying to be at least meet her in the middle, at least with her own money. He doesn't want to have to get a job or start doing what he has to do to make his own income, especially the kind of income that they're used to. He wants it the easy way, the lazy way, the bum way. And he just trying to take advantage of Kandi, continue to take advantage of Kandi. And that's what I think. And if anybody else thinks differently, your opinion is welcome. So if you think that Kandi is the one that is a, B word or whatever like that, it's all right to state your opinion respectfully. It's okay. I enjoyed listening to everyone's opinions, even after this in the comments. So many things. I have read so many things in my other comments from my other lives that they could, that you, like, some people would take it to the heart, but not me. And I won't even go at it with you. So like I said, your opinions are welcome as long as they're respectful. Because I know not everybody is going to be on the female side, but it's not that I'm on the female side. It's just that I'm on the side of, right. Like, both people should be working, especially when you're, millionaires or whatever. You both should be working. And especially when it's time for the divorce, if there was a prenup, we should be going through the prenup. We should not be arguing after that. We had a prenup from the beginning. We had a prenup before we got married. You signed it. That's it. Why are we arguing? Yeah. Is he going to the Bahamas, or is he waiting to get money from Kandi and then go to the Bahamas? you know? But I guess we'll see, right? We'll see. And why, out of all places, the Bahamas? I don't know. And how long is that money? Is it going to be long enough to continue, or is he just waiting for some kind of money from this divorce to continue that business venture? That's the question. Yeah, sounds fishy, right? Sounds fishy. And who knows? Maybe he was. You know what they do? You know what they do when, they have a rich spouse, they have some money, you know, transferred to an offshore account. Maybe, allegedly, maybe. You never know. I feel he wants money from Kandi for the business he's supposed to be starting. Yep, me too, Paula. Me too. If they have a prenup, then that should be it. Yep, facts. And hopefully the judge sees it that way too, because there's just no way. And no matter what, most of the time with the child custody, they do go, they want the child to be with the mother. There's no way, unless she was like a drug addict or something like that. Just because she's working and goes on tour and things like that, that doesn't make her an unfit mother. You have to be an unfit parent to not get primary custody, And if anything, the judge would probably offer the 50-50, but primary custody, he's crazy right now. He's bugging out. I don't know. He's bug he's bugging out right now. And maybe he should go. If he got money already, maybe he should go to the Bahamas and start his business. Todd may have used that as an excuse because Kandi told the court he was away a lot since they split and not with the children. So he's making it seem like he's going back and forth, probably talking with you know, with the potential business people over there, whatever project he's planning. That's when they find stories right away, right? As excuses. Yeah, I hope it's 50-50 at least. But if it's 50-50, that means you don't have to give him extra, child support or whatever. You shouldn't be able to come asking for extra stuff if there's a signed agreement before marriage. Yeah. And most of the time, the prenup does stand. So he could want to fight the prenup all he wants. Unless they did had like a business together, that's when things change from the prenup. Like if they had a business within the marriage, then they will have to figure that out if they had it together and if they both put finances, into the business equally. Then you know, he would be owed some money. But even if they had a business together and he didn't put nothing into it, he's asked out there too. you know? So over the years, viewers noticed Todd wanting more executive control in the businesses, tension about him not feeling respected by Kandi definitely, hit the scene, hit the TV. We all knew that they were arguing a lot about, that he felt that she didn't respect him, and there were a lot of arguments about the financial decision making. Even though he wasn't putting money like she was, he still wanted a certain control of the business, of the finances, and a lot of the times he appeared very frustrated about being viewed as Kandi's husband, you know he didn't feel like he was his own person because people always see him or saw him as Kandi's husband and never as an individual. And that can create resentment when one partner is globally recognized and wealthier, and the other is constantly introduced as their spouse. that can bruise the ego. And I think it bruised his a lot, and then not to mention the mother-in-law, you know, not respecting him either, probably belittling him. Hey, Jazzy sis. So I'm pretty sure it was hard for him in that relationship, but he should have stepped up to the plate and did his own thing, that he could call his own, that he wouldn't have to worry about her giving him control of certain things. He should have had his own businesses that he was in control over, you know, that he didn't need no say he didn't have to ask anybody to do anything for him because it would have been his. Like he wasn't using the opportunity of being Kandi's husband. He should have been using that as a pedestal to help himself. When you're in a partnership or a marriage, you're supposed to help each other grow and help each other build. You don't have to build everything, that it's like one, you know, like it's both of yours. It's good to have something together, but it's also good to have things separate, because then when things go down like this, then there's going to be a fight for money. So Todd wanted to control the money, but I'm glad Kandi didn't give it to him, because most of what he was involved with went bust. Yes, Paula. Yes, you can obviously tell that he's not good with finances, and that's why things really never worked out for him. He's not good with finances. He doesn't know how to I guess he doesn't know how to control the money, or he just doesn't know how to keep the businesses afloat. That's his fault, not hers. He could have stepped out of her shadows and gained success too. Exactly. Exactly what I was saying. He should have did his own thing so he could feel good about himself and have his own. And not only for himself, but for the children. Because at the end of the day, don't we do what we do not only for ourselves but for our families, for generational wealth, so our future can have something, and then they can continue to build it up. Hey Alan, how are you, bro? Thanks for coming in. Since Todd been with Candies, he had a lot more opportunities than he did before. Definitely. He just didn't know what to do with those opportunities. Yep. He just didn't know what to do with those. So, he was always frustrated. He got that resentment towards her family. It definitely bruised his ego. And a bruised ego in a marriage, it's never gonna work. And then a bruised ego in divorce, that becomes a courtroom battle. Now he's gonna try everything to try to get what he thinks he deserves, you know? So that courtroom is gonna be on fire. So now, again, this is just allegedly, this is an analysis, not accusation. But history matters and patterns matter. He had many opportunities to get his own, to do his own thing, to become successful on his own, out of her shadow. But everything he did, unfortunately, it did not work. Some people want to start things, but then they don't continue to feed into it. They think that it's just going to grow on its own. And no matter what business you have to continue to basically like water it so it could continue to grow. You can't just think you could plant it and then that is going to grow, on its own. That's what Kandi been doing, building generational wealth, and now he thinks he's entitled to it. Yep. Todd chose to ride her coattail. Now he bitter and messy. Yes. Alan says all is well, just getting out of work and tuning in. How have you been? I've been good, Alan. Pretty good, pretty good. Could always be better, of course. Just living. Life is lifing, but I'm still living. So yeah. Hey Lynn, sis, how are you? Thank you for being here. It's nice to see you. Talking about Kandi and Todd and the divorce, the childhood, the child custody, Mama Joyce. I asked if Mama Joyce was right all this time, you know? It's just crazy, isn't it? Isn't it? Yep, Todd bitter, messy, and greedy. And that usually doesn't work out, you know? When you're bitter and greedy and on top of that messy, that usually doesn't work out in your favor, you know? You should have worried about all of this, within the marriage. He shouldn't have always thought that he could, that he was going to be able to ride her coattail forever, you know? Because you just never know. You just never know. I know I don't have a wine glass, but this is wine. Some Cabernet. I'm clumsy, guys. I broke almost between me and my kids, we broke my wine glasses. Yes, Mama Joyce saw right through Todd's facade. It's just her delivery wasn't good. Yeah, you know, because she's controlling too. Yeah, that's a Cabernet Sauvignon because it's like semi-sweet. I don't like the like Moscato or Riesling. I used to like them, but they're like too sweet. So, and of course, I don't like the Pinot or whatever. So this is like semi-sweet. So it's in between. But yeah, yeah, Mama Joyce definitely was controlling, and she just did deliver it in, you know, in a not so good way. But that was her child, and she's always, of course, Mama Bear is always gonna try to look out for her cub. You know, you as a mom, you always gonna look out, and you always could like, well, I think you can see through people right away. You could see people's intentions from the beginning, especially when you know what they brought to the table. If she knew and Kandi knew what he was bringing into the relationship, that it's like Mama Joyce knew that there will be some issues about finances because, like I said in the beginning, when two people are not, like basically equals when it comes to money, the other person that's not making enough is always going to feel a certain way, and especially not for nothing if it's the man not making enough. Like a man could say that he'll be good with staying home and watching the kids all he wants, but when it comes to not being able to control the money, the businesses, the bit, like just to have the control of the money himself, there definitely will be problems, you know? And that's exactly what happened. He wanted some kind of control, he wanted access. And at least Kandi was, smart when it came to that. She did not, let love blind her. She didn't let love blind her. She, she must have felt it somewhere. Her intuition, like, knew not to let him handle more than he could, you know? She didn't want to land up broke. Yeah, that's a good nightcap. That's definitely a good nightcap. I'm supposed to be taking Jackson to the Children's Museum tomorrow. He's been bugging me all weekend because I said, I'll take you Tuesday. So now he already, he knows the days of the week. So he's like, tomorrow's Tuesday. We're going to the Children's Museum. But he's been saying it every single day. Tuesday, the Children's Museum. We're going to the Children's Museum. So yeah, they were not financially compatible. Nope, Paula, they were not. Yep, that access was denied. You know? So sometimes divorce battles aren't about who cheated, who lied, who betrayed who. Sometimes it's about control, it's about narrative, it's about reputation, leverage, you know, who has what. Because once those custody filings hit the table, it's no longer, emotional. Children are involved, you know. Now it's legal. And once a prenup gets questioned, it's financial warfare. And now they really are going to the war. Now they are really going to war, the war. You know what I mean? Now they're really going to war. So, ask yourself, if it was truly amicable, would we be seeing primary custody requests and financial disputes? I know they probably were trying to be amicable for the children, of course, for the family, trying to make it easier for everybody that's in their inner circle, But when it comes to that custody and financial disputes, that's it. All gloves are off, especially when you're the mother, when you're the primary caregiver, when you're the breadwinner, you're going to be fighting. Like, she's going to make him feel it. He's going to probably regret that he went after her, because I'm sure she could afford some good lawyers too. So he better think about what he's doing and what he's asking for. Being greedy is not gonna get him far. It's time judges stop giving hard-earned money away to these bums, male or female. Yep, exactly. She works her ass off. She freaking has, of course, put money into her businesses, and it's not easy, and even if it's just the simple thing of her going on tour and singing, you think that is easy? Traveling all the time, being on that hot ass stage, is not easy. It might look easy, but it's not freaking easy. And then if you have to be away from your children, if you're a real parent that loves your children, you don't want to be away from your children, but you do it because you have to, because that's your job. you know so what you guys think? You think Todd should leave the property since he's living in the guest house? Do you think that he should be able to stay on the property during the divorce, or do you think that he should be gone already? Or do you think that once the divorce is finalized, then he should be able to leave? Do you think that asking for child support is petty just because one parent makes more? And do you think that her traveling for work weakens the custody case? What do you guys think? Hey, Jarella, how are you? Nice to see you again. Welcome in, welcome in. Too many people are getting married to people based on money. Yeah. He already, because you already knew. He knew who she was. He knew she was financially, stable, secure. He knew, you know? And she probably, like, saw his, like, wanted to see his potential, She probably thought that he had potential to do something, and probably to do something great. But you have to have that motivation to do something, to keep doing it, and not to only dip your feet in one thing. You have to dip your thing in multiple things when you're trying to be that financially stable. When you are in a different tax bracket, you have to do different things to keep that income coming and flowing, because your lifestyle also drains the bank a lot. And so in order to keep that flow going, you have to keep working, and you have to work hard for it. If it was me, he wouldn't be in the same property. He needs to stand on his own 2 feet. Yep, that's exactly what I said. I don't want to be feeling all awkward and weird and just knowing that he's on my damn property. Nope. Todd is trying to do what Ralph done and stay in the basement. Right? Exactly. Yeah. So when you're in when you hit that different tax bracket, you got to keep going, put your money into things that are going to keep that money flowing, because especially, depending the way you let your lifestyle, it changes when you're in a different bracket too, your clothes, your cars, whatever it is, even your dining, your food, whether it's at home or not, you know everything changes. And then on top of that, if you want to travel, or when you travel, like, you need to make sure that you keep that money flowing, you know property taxes, like, there's so many things, you know he thought that he had it easy, you know So what you guys think? That you think this is gonna be like easy, or you think that this court is gonna take a long time? Do you think their case is gonna take a long time, or do you think that the judge is gonna be like, first of all, prenup? There was a prenup. That's a done deal. You already signed it. There's no more to talk about there. And then maybe the only thing that they fight for is the child custody. Or do you think that the judge will shut that down as well? What do you guys think? Can you imagine bumping into the man you're divorcing every time you turn around in your own home? He's a real low life. Yeah, exactly. No, I can't imagine that because it wouldn't be me. I'll be like, no, you need to go get your own apartment or whatever. Like, no, we ain't doing this. We are not doing this. Like, be a man. Yeah, I would love the judge to shut it down too. He needs to just shut down everything. Like, you sign a prenup, you guys are going to have to go to a mediator because you are not getting primary custody. So you guys need to go to mediation and figure it out first before I make a decision. Either it's going to be 50-50 custody or something else that you're not going to like. So choose, you know? Exactly. Alan says, how can the judge trust a father with a kid when the father isn't making any earnings? Exactly. And what we all can see is that he's obviously gonna be using those child support payments, or he's gonna be going after child support payments in order to take care of the children. So for what, why he needs custody then? And then Paula said that he had told the judge that he's starting a business in the Bahamas. Maybe that's why he's just trying to make himself look a little better. But they're going to ask for financial statements and all that if it gets that far, which to me, I don't think it's even going to get that far, honestly, because it's true. How are you going to do better when you don't even have a real income? You know, and she has, you know, not only the finances, but she has the support, the family, that when she's at work, you know, that she has that support to help with the house and the children. So come on now, stupid. So, so yeah, no. From day one, we can't, talk about Kandi and Todd without discussing the mama. From day one, she's questioned his intentions, and not quiet, not behind the scenes, out loud, not giving a damn on camera, at events, at dinners, at wedding planning meetings. She was just open about how she didn't trust him, you know? So now let's think about this psychologically. If you're married and your spouse's parent consistently questions your motives over time, what you think that does? I know it builds tension, it builds resentment, it builds defensiveness, but that's his fault. Stormy. Hi, Stormy. you know but now, I'm not saying Mama Joyce, caused the divorce, but I am saying that I'm asking, did years of hearing Mama Joyce in, you know, her ear plant seeds of distrust? Or do you think that she just finally realized that he wasn't helping her grow? She was tired of supporting him. Because even if Todd had those good intentions, being consistently portrayed as an opportunist could impact how he felt, in that marriage. What are you doing? And if you're already less than wealthy, especially the less than wealthy spouse, and your mother-in-law believes you're there for the money, that is heavy. And that does and will cause a strain on your marriage. If your mother-in-law, father-in-law, whoever is always in the other's ear, that is gonna definitely cause a strain in the marriage. But like I said, the mama bear always want to protect her, baby cub. She just saw it and wasn't afraid to say it. Yep, definitely. It wasn't just Joyce. A lot of people were saying that that was his character. He was always looking for a come up. Isn't that sad? You know? But you guys, do you think that in laws can slowly damage a marriage, even if the couple tries to ignore it? Do you think that in laws should stay out of the marriage? If you're an in law, do you, you know, give your advice to your child in their marriage? Yeah, I think it could definitely do damage too, you know. But imagine if it's not only the in-law, it's multiple people telling you this, and who knows, probably her financial advisor, probably her lawyer, whoever, because when you have a certain amount of money, it's not only you have consultants and people that manage your money that you have to listen to as well, well, that give you advice, how to manage your money. And if they see that your spouse is draining your money in a negative way and not bringing it in, they will definitely let you know, and that's their job to let you know and that's just the way it is. That's what they're hired for, to let you know if you're mishandling your money, give you advice on what you should do with your money. And even if you have an idea of what you want to do with your money, you still talk to somebody so they can tell you how it's going to impact you once you use the money. Hell yeah, my daughters better not bring no leeching ass dudes home. Shit. And I'm telling you, I'm one of those mothers though that my oldest son, he hates that. Like if he like bring a good girl to the house and I see like she's good, she this, like I'll be like, and he's not doing so good, I'm the type that I'll be on her side. Like, why are you with him? What is he doing for you? He hates that. But I'll be honest. Like, girl, run. But nah, when making a certain amount of money, you have to be careful. You really do. No matter the love involved, no matter the children involved, you just have to be careful. In-laws like Joyce can't because she doesn't have any tact. She just blurts out how she feels. You have to be careful with matters of the heart and money. Yep. Yeah, for real. For real, Alan. I have done that. I mean, even though he's young, he's only 24 going on 25. But even like when he had little girlfriends before and he would try to I'll be like, why are you with him? What is he doing for you? Like, girl, come on now. I keep it real and tell both the truth, but I try to let them sort things themselves and guide them when needed. Yeah, especially if you are that, if you don't just blurt things out and seem controlling and things like that, like Mama Joyce, sometimes they will actually come to talk to you and want your advice, on things. And then you can go from there and give your advice and not feel like, you're being judgmental or things like that. And, do it in a good way, you know? But Mama Joyce, I mean, that's Mama Joyce. That's her character. She's going to let you have it. She's going to tell it how it is. And she's not going to care who's around. And that's how some parents are. Like, no, you're not going to make a fool out of my child. It's crazy, right? So, yeah, it's just crazy. So he's definitely, trying to strategize. He's definitely trying to, place himself at a certain position to try to win without doing so much. You know, he's already at a certain age. He probably doesn't have the motivation to do, what he has to do to get the money, to continue the money. So he's trying to get it the easy way, you know? Now, could this get any uglier? You know, let's be honest. We have not seen public mudslinging or leaked audio, explosive cheating claims. Yet right now it's structured, legal, strategic, um, you know, but contested custody, prenup challenges, financial disputes, those things can escalate, you know. That's something to consider. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so that's something to consider. Um, they both care about their brands, but her brand is bigger. So public destruction may not happen, but courtroom tension, that's definitely something different. And whatever happens in court might, you know, trickle down into the household. There might be tension, even though we saw them together on the holidays and for birthdays or whatever. Right now it might be a turn for the worse, right? She might not want to be around him now that he's, contesting the prenup, wanting primary custody. He's These things are now making life much harder to deal with, harder to stay cordial, you know? And let's be honest, what we're seeing is probably like 20%, if that, of what's actually happening in their real life. Yep, great advice. Great response. I can tell when my children want to chat because I suddenly need to go shopping and they have to take me. That's good if they feel, comfortable talking to you. Then that's exactly what you want. Hey, Mikey, welcome in. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for sharing. I appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, everything, everybody. Thank you. You too. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for passing through. I appreciate it. Talking about Kandi and Todd's messy divorce. Now that the prenup is being challenged and primary custody is being sought by Todd. I mean, of those type of relationships do and can usually end up on an episode of Snap, God forbid. Yeah, tell me about it. But she has too much to lose, but he doesn't. So, and these days, unfortunately, every time you turn the page or turn on the news or scroll up, scroll down, whatever the hell, open an app, somebody passed away. Somebody got unalived. It's really sad. It really sad, and you know, mental health is real. And you're right, because I watch Snap too much. I watch all these shows too much, and even on freaking YouTube, you see those videos of things happening to people in relationships. It's always somebody's ex unaliving them. It's crazy, but yeah, I do watch a lot of those videos. I feel like Todd always exhibited a type of behavior that showed he wasn't really into Kandi 100%. Yeah, I believe that too. I see that too, but not everybody is like not everybody believes in like public affection and things like that. So, we don't know, you know. But you're right. I feel like I don't know. It wasn't they didn't have like we didn't see like the passion in their relationship, you know. So the being the breadwinner winner can definitely create imbalance, you know, but especially I mean some people really do, no matter how good of an actor or actress they are. Some people are really good at acting like they came into a relationship for love when their end goal was really about money. You know, they knew who he knew who she was. He knew, you know, that she was getting to her bag, you know. And like I said, I don't think, even though they can say they are, I don't think men are really comfortable when they know that the woman is the breadwinner and that they're the ones that's being financially supported, no matter what. Because as a man, it's like in you to want to be the one that's providing, to be the one that is, handling the money. I think that's just, you know, something a man feels he needs. So to have to, you know, be supported financially by your woman, that has to hurt your ego a little, you know? And it might be a little intimidating too. Can anyone remember the episode when Riley didn't want Todd in charge of the money? If anything happened to Kandi, now that showed the child knew Todd had issues concerning money. Yes. Yep. And that's crazy, right? A child, like, no, I don't want, he's not going to be controlling the money. Yeah, definitely. And it's true because, and especially if you don't have like your own, you're showing that you couldn't handle your own money. Because even before he met her or got with her or whatever, he should have had his own money and been had control of his own money. you know? And if he was a producer or whatever, he could have made a good amount of money doing what he was doing. So why didn't it ever go anywhere? Exactly. His Todd should have stepped up and done something constructive to bring the money and his financial status. Definitely. He dropped the ball, cuz now what is he going to do? If the prenup, is he gets what was in the prenup and that's it. If no child support, no nothing, now what is he going to do? You know? What is he going to do now? And then if he's going to start stepping up and being motivated, it questions like, why didn't you do that while you was married? But then again, Kandi ain't going to give a damn. She probably don't give a damn now. you know but power dynamics, egos and relationships, financial independence, that definitely can put a strain on relationships, you know and couples. There, to me, there's nothing wrong with like working together in business, but you should have, like, to me, I wouldn't mind having something with my future husband together, like business wise. But I think we should also have our separate business ventures as well. Because not only is that good for both of us, but that does make you feel proud of yourself. Like when you have your own separate businesses and, and they're successful, not just having a business just to have a business, but to have a successful business, you know that bringing more to the table, you're bringing more to the relationship, you're bringing more, you're building together, you're bringing more for your family, you're just bringing more, and that makes you feel on top of the world. That's just what I think. Ugh, I hope this weather change is not getting me sick. I feel my sinus. It would definitely hurt my ego a little. I wouldn't even know how to muster up the words to ask my lady for money every time I needed something. Yeah, I could imagine that, because even me as a female, I couldn't imagine going into a relationship with my own money, or having an income, like even having an income to want to buy something without asking him, you know? I've never been that type to actually to bring zero in and act and depend on, you know, my partner or boyfriend, whatever you want to say, you know. I couldn't feel like that. I wouldn't be okay with that, put it that way. No. I have to have something. Even if he says, "Oh, you don't have to pay no bills, no nothing, don't worry about it." I still want my own income. Something. Hey, Mikey. Yes, I ate dinner. I ate some beef sausages with peppers and onions. In my house, we split the bills and make our own money, so everyone has money in the bank. Yep, and that's how it should be. That's definitely how it should be. Yep, I agree. I agree. Yes, it was delicious. It was delicioso, Mikey. I did take a picture of it, but I didn't do a video today. Because I've done a video making that before. The beef sausages, onions, peppers over white rice. But you could put it in you could put it in some, Italian bread. You could put it in a hero. You could put it over egg noodles. You could do so many things with that. But I put it over white rice. Yeah, you could put it in pasta, whatever. But yeah, that's what I did. I always make sure I have my own income. You can't totally rely on, no, never. And you never know what happens, That person, could lose their job. You just never know, and it's never good to 100% depend on anybody, cuz anything can happen. You can lose your job, they could lose their job no matter what, you know. Well, I didn't put ghost peppers, but I put regular peppers because my kids don't like the heat. They can't stand the heat. So that's why they stay out the kitchen. Now let me stop. No, but they don't like heat, unfortunately. So I put like jalapenos. I could put mine in after I make the meal. Yeah, but it was good. It was good. All right, Mikey. Yeah, but it was good. Yeah. So people should definitely have financial freedom, you know, but at the end of the day, I mean, I guess that's why you have a prenup though, right? Because she did know what she brought to the table versus him, you know. So at the end of the day, I can't say she should have known better because she did know better because she drew up a prenup, you know. So we will see. We will continue. I will continue to update you guys on what goes on in court. If there's anything, important that's, worth talking about. Not any little thing, but something major, I'll definitely bring you guys the update. I'll be paying attention to it. Paula said, now you're making me hungry. I have a lot of videos of me cooking and different meals too, if you haven't watched my videos, because I am into cooking as well. I love cooking. If I didn't live in this little ass apartment, I definitely would have like a separate channel of just cooking, because I need a big kitchen so I could have a nice space, nice everything. I live in an apartment, so it's so little that I just don't feel comfortable doing that. But I do show some videos of cooking and things like that. But that's what I'm manifesting for the future, for me to be able to move to have just a bigger everything, especially kitchen. That's what I'm manifesting, a nice, beautiful kitchen. From the time Todd didn't want to sign that prenup, I don't think I could have married him. I found that very off-putting. Yeah, right? That's definitely a damn turn off. Like, so he was a really money motivated, basically. You guys see my cat in the background? Yeah, he was definitely money motivated. Yep. I'm glad somebody from the squad went live today. I definitely enjoyed the topic. Thank you, Alan. I think Neo's live too. I think Neo's live as well. I had this schedule since yesterday. She went on like 15 minutes before me. So, I have to make sure I go do my lives, especially when I have them scheduled for a long time. You know, I don't want to get into the habit of rescheduling, but yeah. But I believe Neo is live, you know. But I appreciate you being here too. And yes, I'm always finding things to talk about. Um my email is in my bio, so if anybody has any topics they would like me to talk about, you can send me some ideas, because I am still growing. I'm on the road to 1K subscribers. I'm still trying to reach my watch hours. I'm just growing. I'm growing slow and steady, but you know, slow and steady wins the race, they say, right? So I'm just trying to be more consistent, and if I have something scheduled, to make sure that I'm coming on. So yeah. So at the end of the day, this isn't just about tea. It's about two people who built a life, who built businesses, who built a family, and now that foundation is being renegotiated in court. you know? And sometimes divorce isn't about betrayal. Sometimes it's about unresolved tension, years of, resentment, different visions of power, different financial statuses, you know, one feeling like they rule more, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And sometimes communication isn't there, you know, or isn't enough, you know, because when you feel that resentment, sometimes no matter how much you try to communicate and make it work, it just doesn't work. And the next best thing is to get out, especially when there's children involved, because why let them grow up seeing their parents, always going at it, or even if it's the silent treatment, not talking, or just feel the tension, whether Mama Joyce was right, whether Todd feels misunderstood, whether Kandi feels protective, the judge won't care about reality TV. He cares about the reality in real life, So like I said, what we see is just 20%, if that, so we can have all the opinions we want. We could, be on one side or the other, but the judge will care about what's the best interest of the children, the financial transparency, and stability. That's all the judge is going to care about. And that's where this battle will really be decided. Hey, Allison. I like cooking too. That's how I make my extra money. Oh, that's good. What kind of food do you cook, Paula? What kind of food do you cook? I try to cook a little bit of everything, but mostly, of course, Spanish because I'm Spanish. Thanks for passing through, Allison. I was talking about Kandi and Todd and their messy divorce and the child custody that, Todd is seeking primary custody. I was talking about Mama Joyce and, was she right all along? Ooh, Caribbean food. Yeah, that's what I said. I said, Allison, I said that more than likely that's what's gonna happen, because they don't like to take primary custody away from the mom anyway. So they'll probably have, 50-50 custody or joint custody. But why? Because he's allegedly broke. So not only is he trying for primary custody, he's gonna try for that child support too, so he could continue living off of Kandi. Allegedly. Oh, Caribbean food. I love Caribbean food. I love all the spices. Yes. Yeah, allegedly broke. Well, or he can get spousal support, but he did sign a prenup. That was the thing too we were talking about. That prenup, you know, he's trying to argue the whatever, contest the prenup. But more than likely the judge is not gonna do anything about that prenup. It was signed, that's it. There was a prenup, you know? So yeah. So the judge is definitely gonna pay attention to the the financial transparency, the best interest of the children, and stability, and how can he be stable? How can he be the best interest of the children if he doesn't have that income flowing in? And they are accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So how is he going to be able to maintain that without Kandi's money? How? That's the question. But yeah, I'm going to continue to pay attention to this. And if there's anything good to give, I'm going to give it, I'll update you guys, So do you guys think this is a custody fight or a financial battle? Or do you think that it's the final chapter of a power struggle, excuse me, that started years ago? Custody fight, financial battle, or the final chapter of a power struggle that started years ago? What are you doing?
Jordan has turned off the light out to the room, and now what he do?
What he did? He turned off the light and then went to his room?
Yeah.
And he's being a pain in the butt?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's she always seems like she had more money than him. She definitely did. That's why there's a prenup. It's a financial battle on Todd's part. Definitely. And now it's like he's trying to win. What are you doing, Jackson? So two successful people, well, I don't know if you want to say two, but two strong personalities, two children involved, and a court system now deciding structure. But if history tells us anything, this isn't over. And we will likely see more filings, more headlines, and more positioning, But will we see reconciling? I doubt it. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the support. I appreciate everybody that came in. Yes, I, wish the best for the children as well. I hope that this teaches Todd a lesson that, you no matter what, even no, regardless who you are married to, you should always have your own. And you should have definitely been making more power moves while you were married to the person that had the upper hand, basically, and it's not okay. As a man, you should have wanted to be positioned in a better place, not only for you, but for your family, for your wife, for your children. Come on now.
Hello, dude.
Here. Yeah, say hello.
Hello.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I keep sitting.
What you got?
I got my orange. I got orange.
All right, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. I see you tomorrow, Tuesday.
So, yeah. Was Mama Joyce protecting her daughter? Was she planting seeds of distrust? But was Mama Joyce right? Will Todd get anything from this divorce besides whatever they agreed to in the prenup? Will he get custody, primary custody? I doubt it. But we will see. And I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everybody else that came in. Allison, Mikey, Tamik, Lily. A lot of people. Everybody else that I forgot to name. Yeah. So please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Good night.